Hello and welcome to the Training and Tangents podcast with myself, Tom Morgan, and my co-host, the lovely Ben Mudge, who I'm just currently watching struggle with his chopsticks while he's eating a little bit of sushi.
Struggle. No struggle here. It's wood.
He's
It
pretty
would.
good actually. He's a very experienced sushi eater, it looks like.
You've eaten sushi with me?
I have, and he ate quite a lot. He was actually very proficient. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
probably like plus five proficiency bonus, I would say, something like that.
Eating sushi, 100%. If there was
Yeah,
anything I could be a professional at, it would be that. Like,
yeah.
I could put away an obscene amount of sushi. But yeah, thanks for doing the intro. I was trying to smash some food into me while Tom was doing that, so I appreciate that. So last week we were both pretty pretty struck down by
Yeah,
illness and plague. What about you? How are you feeling now?
better. Yeah, I feel like it's been a whole week, and it like that. Well, last Monday. So today's a Tuesday, just for reference. Last Monday, I kind of like that's when I felt like I turned the corner. And that was like 10, 12 days into this bug. But all of last week, like my energy was still a little bit off, like still like coughing and like snotty and just like horrid. And I did do a little bit of training, but it was one of those. I was just like listening to my body and just like
Grease the wheels a
the
little bit.
like the thought of doing like some hard lower body stuff really didn't fill me with joy. So I wanted to do something and just get moving. So basically just did like some relatively light, very deep leg press and some easy machine stuff just to kind of ease myself back in. And then yesterday, which is like well, 2.5, 3 weeks since I first came down with it, did my first what I would call like proper session. And then I've just been for a run just before we recorded this, and yeah,
Oh,
that was hard.
I was gonna say, how did that feel in the lungs? Did you cough a lot?
I did cough quite a bit, yeah. It was also made worse by the fact that I was mostly running up a hill and I have quite bad leg DOMs from the session I did yesterday, so it was kind of like extra hard.
Yeah, yeah, that does. Well, I didn't do that. I was sleeping up until about an hour ago. So, yeah, Tom and I live slightly different lives in that respect. I did not get up early and go for a run this morning. I can confirm that. I'm starting to definitely feel better as well. Like the length that thing dragged out for was insane. I can still, if I have to clear my throat or cough, I apologize, but there's still a lingering thing around the kind of the top of my chest, which is always a little bit of a concern for me with my chest infections and stuff being so scary for me. But anyway, enough about us. Let's talk about what we're going to be hopefully helping people with today, and that's kind of it. Kind of folds in nicely to what we were just talking about, where you were saying about we have to take time off the gym. There's going to be times where we have to kind of take a step back, and that's just the way things are going to go. And I think one of the things that you do kind of build up as you've been training for as long as you and I have, which is what, 20 years for me, probably the same for you,
Yeah,
40
similar.
years combined. You definitely develop traits, or you, as a coach, start seeing traits within people that are definitely beneficial to them being successful in this endeavor. So we're going to talk about those, and we've got another lovely list of 5 things, so you've got a nice thing to track. So, Tom, should we kick it off with the first one of what we think is critical for people to be successful in their health and different endeavors, health and fitness endeavors? Yeah, it's not a grammatical
Um,
podcast; it's a fitness podcast. Get over it.
yeah.
Right.
I don't think that was
Yeah.
even a word. Was that a word?
No.
No.
No, no, no. It was just, well, all words are made up anyway, Tom. So I can technically,
Yeah, who
tech-
verifies the words?
what is it?
Who actually verifies if it's a word or not? Is it like
It's
you
Oxford
make it into
Dictionary, isn't
the
it?
yeah?
Some dude just being like, yeet. Yes, yeet is going into the Oxford Dictionary. I love the way they always do that at the start of every year. They're like, this
Yeah,
weird word that no one really uses is going into the dictionary, and you're like,
yeah.
I think we're sliding back as a society. I think we're going in the wrong direction here. But anyway,
Yeah.
there's a good tangent for you straight away.
Yeah.
Living up to the word. Okay, so one of the habits of successful people that you see a lot with coaching and just in general?
So yeah, we've obviously had a little bit of a chat before this, and like with a lot of stuff, we are on a very kind of similar page, and it's really interesting actually sort of picking out these traits that we see in the people that do succeed for the long term, and that's not just like obviously that like within fitness, the sort of 12-week challenges and sort of 6-week shreds and stuff like that is rife. We're talking about the people who are able to like get to their initial goals, drop body fat, build muscle mass, but then are able to continue doing that and living a healthy life and enjoying that process and having that fitness essentially forever, which is what we ideally want people to do. And the first trait that we've kind of highlighted is being a good problem solver. And I think it's sort of like for me, this comes down to sort of being proactive rather than reactive when you're looking at your situations, and obviously if something's not working for you, actually going out and sort of thinking about it and being like, okay, like what could I maybe do differently here? What like how can I work within my circumstances to get to the goal that I want to, rather than being like, my circumstances kind of dictate where I am. I can't do that because of this, this, and this, and kind of having it like not that like anyone's excuses are invalid, because they're definitely valid and they will play a part in how they go about doing things, but not being a kind of victim to circumstance really. How would you kind of define that?
That's it. It's, and I'm going to use myself, but a lot of my clients who have cystic fibrosis or any other illness of that ilk as an example, because I think it kind of originates from the coach. Like, I'm going to ask you, I know you asked me the question, but I'm going to ask you, like, why is longevity so important to you? Because that's ultimately what it comes from. Like, this idea of being a problem solver is right. What is the problem? The problem is I can't at this moment in time sustain this thing long term. So how do I find a way of solving that problem as such? So what does it that give you this idea that this is not something that you want to do for a set period of time in your life? It's something you're going to have forever. Where did that come from for you?
I think for me, it's that like it's twofold. Firstly, the fact that I've always enjoyed being physically active, whether that's going out for a hike, whether it's going out for a run, whether it's just like playing sports, or like no matter what it is, like a big part of my enjoyment, and sort of like what I enjoy doing with like with friends, with family, that sort of thing comes down to being physically active. So there's like that's a big part of it. And then on the sort of opposite side, the reason why like I kind of came to this and find that so important is having had three knee surgeries. Um, and being at a point where just like walking on a flat surface very slowly was quite painful. I basically want to put myself in the best position possible to be able to do the stuff that I enjoy doing for as long as possible. And I even notice it now if I have a period of time where I'm not training, I'm not like keeping on top of that things start to ache a little bit. Like I might get little aches come into like my knees and that sort of thing. Sorry, Waffles the
Don't
dog is
worry.
just rearranging her bed. If you can hear anything in the background there.
Not at all. I wish we could, but I can't. I want to see her now. But she good?
Oh no, she's good. She's sorted that now. Um, yeah, so it's just like I guess like the motivation to train. I don't find that hard because it's like what for me it's like I'm always thinking like okay what's the alternative? The alternative is I don't do this stuff and I feel these niggles coming in like relatively quickly, but I'm like okay if that's happening relatively quickly now, like what's 5 years down the line going to look like? What's 10 years down the line going to look like? And then as a result of that, it's really not a hard decision to be like okay if I do a little bit of something now that's going to make me feel good and keep me doing the stuff that I enjoy doing, that's really not a hard thing for me to go and do. And that's not to say like obviously you have days where like you're not motivated or you don't want to go and train, but it's like having that in the back of my mind, and obviously with like with the boys being young, wanting to be able to do as much as possible with them as well. It's yeah, for me it really is like a no-brainer to kind of to stay on top of doing that stuff. And like I said, it's part of the enjoyment for me is actually doing the thing as well because I enjoy being physically active. So yeah, it's like it's kind of both of those things kind of intertwined, if you know what I mean. How
Well,
about you?
I mean, first of all, we're going to be doing an episode where we dive into a bit more detail about both of us, and already I can start thinking of a lot of questions that I want to ask you based off that answer. But I'll answer your question now because we will get into that in your episode. But yeah, mine comes from. I mean, it's very similar to yours in the sense that just with the different details. Growing up with CF, being told that not being told directly, but hearing and eventually kind of piecing the parts together. I was never told you're going to be dead by 40. Like, there's no one said that to me. Like, no one will ever say that to someone, really. But there's a lot of evidence that was suggesting that that is probably the likely outcome for me. Once I started to kind of develop and mature, and my parents were peace feeding me a bit more about my illness and what the repercussions of it might be as I get older. So to me, this is my reason for making this something that I didn't just do for a little bit when I was a kid or a teenager, like most people do. Like most people leave school or they get into like training from rugby or some sport in school. All their schoolmates go, then they go to uni. Some people keep it up, and then some people drop off, and then blah blah blah. I knew that I didn't want that to happen because when I was hospitalized, one of the times with my chest infection, I got a very very blunt reminder of what cystic fibrosis could potentially hold for me. And again, I can talk about this in more detail in another episode, but seeing that was the just ultimate, like, there is no option B for you. Like that, I remember so clearly in my head, visually, like in my head, it was like a room and there's all these doors. Like imagine like a hotel, like you're standing in a hotel. Imagine breaking off every single other door other than one door. That's essentially what I did for myself, where it was like, right, well, I don't get the luxury of not looking after myself. Some people can get away their entire lives with relative ease of not having to worry about what they eat, not worry about training, exercise, sleep, all that stuff. So some people can miraculously bumble their way through their lives, but I knew that was not something I had the luxury of. So I essentially just was like, right, well, this is the path I have to take, not the one I particularly want to take, because let's face it, we're all a little bit lazy sometimes or energy conservative. But
It's a very diplomatic
you like
phrase.
that? I use that all the time. I'm very energy conservative. Um, but yeah, I think we all have that. A lot of people have those options, whereas I saw myself not having that option. So this was a right. This is not. I need to find something. I need to always find a way of making sure this is something I can do until I am physically incapable of doing the things that I'm trying to do. In that case, then I go, okay, well, what can I do? And that's one of the most important traits. This is being a problem solver. It's this idea that you ask yourself, what's the next best option if I can't do this? That is one of the phrases I try to just drill into my clients is, if not, then what? If you can get into that mindset, then it's very hard to stop someone, achieve what they want. So I think being a problem solver, I think it is like a core thing that you need to have if you're going to be successful in this. And the idea is that, for example, we were literally just talking about this, the thumbnail for
Yeah.
this podcast. I put it together just on Canva. It's fine looking. But both Tom and I are like, look, we will probably get this upgraded at some point. We'll probably get someone who's way better than me at designing stuff to come in and do this professionally. But right now, this will do. And that is a perfect example of just moving forward, not waiting for the perfect conditions to settle and sit there. People who are problem solvers don't wait for that. They just adapt. They move forward. They make sure that there's something they can do rather than just standing with their hands on their hips staring at the problem being like, well, nothing I can do. You're like, well, there's a way around it. There's a way under it. There's ways over it. There's, if you ask someone's help, so I think, yeah, problem solving is 100% one of the things that I really try to nurture within my clients as well. And I always say to them, look, you're a natural problem solver already by just being on a coaching application call with me. You are a problem solver. There was an issue you had, and instead of sitting twiddling your thumbs, you found a way of potentially solving this problem. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to all work with me, but at the end of the day, I'm like, well, already you're starting to show signs of someone who is a problem solver, which is, it's what we need, like 100%. What is like a problem solver? Like, would you consider yourself a problem solver? I think you are.
I guess I would. I think like like I'm going to talk from a coaching perspective now, but particularly I think and again we spoke about this when like we were designing the thumbnail. Like when you're sort of in your own head, in your own environment, it's sometimes really hard to kind of take that step back and kind of look at what other options there are, get that little bit of perspective. And I think that is one of the like best things that a coach can help someone do is is just kind of get your head out of your day to day, zoom out a little bit, gain a little bit of perspective, and potentially find different solutions. And obviously, like for both of us, we've been doing this for a very long time now. Um, so we've worked with lots of different people in lots of different situations, environments, with different constraints. And actually, we've probably worked with someone with similar constraints to whatever you're kind of going through now. And a lot of time, everyone really has the same problems. They
Everyone
might be
thinks
put
you're a
together
unique
as
snowflake, don't they? Everyone thinks like, oh, I'm a
yeah.
unique snowflake, and then you're like, ah, yeah, I've got like I've worked with like 20 people who have had pretty much the same issue. You know, maybe not the exact details, but yeah, everyone thinks they're a snowflake. But I'm sorry, but you're probably not. Which is a great thing. It's actually a really good thing. Like this, don't get me wrong, it's not an insult. It's a great thing because it means that the problems you have, we've in all likelihood solved them for someone else, which is great. So sorry, as you were saying, yep, you were spot on with that
Yeah,
segue.
yeah. No, that was exactly what I was going to say in terms of like the whatever problem that you're kind of faced with at the moment. I think like part of the coaching process is to help you zoom out, gain a little bit of perspective, and help you find potential solutions that you might have come to on your own, but given the experience that we've had and seeing different people go down different paths and do like utilize different sort of methods, it like we're perfectly placed to help people do that problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
um I think probably from a training perspective, I'm like I, but for me personally, I'm a very good problem solver. Probably from a business perspective, less so because I think from a business perspective myself, I do find myself getting stuck in the day to day a lot. So it's interesting for me, kind of going through this process because yeah, it's obviously forcing me to reflect and. Like I said, from a training perspective, like I'm not like I've got that, but from a business perspective, it's like, yeah, it is something that I do like get my head kind of stuck in sometimes. How about you? Like, what would you consider yourself a good problem solver?
In some aspects, yes, and in some other aspects, no. Like yourself, like there's some aspects that I would be fairly confident in my problem solving abilities, and others I'd be like, nope, this ain't
Yeah,
me. This is not my thing. And I think it's good to be able to see that within yourself and as well. The phrase that I love to use, and this is one that like a lot of gamers will probably relate to this if you're a gamer. What you were saying perfectly lines up with what I tell a lot of my clients as well, which is you're talking about being stuck in your perspective. I always refer to that as first person perspective. In fact, I'm pretty sure, a little subtle
yeah.
flex, I'm pretty sure I mentioned that in my book. I'm pretty sure. Yes, the
What,
idea
you've
that,
got a book?
yeah, I wrote a book,
You
Tom.
haven't
Oh, look, it's
you
my
haven't
desk.
mentioned that.
No, I haven't. No, I should probably, next time I should just have it just sitting here, like really,
Yeah,
really. Oh, what is this? Oh, it's my book. I'm going to just get it just because we've said this and I may as well. But
yeah. You better have, mate. You better had.
this is my book, which is still crazy. But yeah, in the book I talk about first person perspective, third person perspective, which is the most common way of playing video games. First person perspective, probably everyone knows this. It's where you can see, let's say you're fighting in a war, you can see your gun, and that's it. You can't see your body, you can't see your chest, you can't see your feet. It's just what you can see in front of you, which is what our perspective of the world is. Then there's third person perspective, which is what we try to do as coaches, and what we should do as people in general is like zoom out, look at yourself in the environment you're in, look at the decisions you're making, look at the behaviors you have, look at the habits you have, and try to almost view yourself from a different angle of like a character. I always say, like, if you're reading a book and you were the main character, would you be rooting for yourself? Is that those are you making decisions that you'd be like, oh, that character deserves the results they're gonna get? So that's why I always say, like, first person perspective, third person perspective. And yeah, like I think everyone's going to be slightly better at some problem solving than others. But what I think is so important as coaches is that we really nurture that side of things, because self belief in your own abilities, I mean, that's like rocket fuel. When someone genuinely
Yeah,
believes that
yeah,
they can do something, it is, as I've said this before, humans are damn near unstoppable. When
yeah,
there's a goal for humans to do something, it's very difficult to get in their way, for good and bad, obviously. But yeah, I think problem solving 100% is a necessary thing. And I think a good takeaway for this is, instead of, when something happens that you didn't plan for, you don't go, well, I'm quitting, didn't get my workout done. You use that as an opportunity to use those skills which you have and you should be proud of, which is like, okay, well, I can't work out for as long as I would usually work out today. How about I just do a shorter session? How about I go for a walk instead? How about I do something rather than nothing? And that's the idea of like that, those 1% that we make, improvements on every single day, they compound massively. So I think, yeah, being problem solver is huge. It's about making adjustments rather than looking for perfection, I think.
yeah. Absolutely,
Shall
absolutely.
we?
And we should
Yeah.
probably move on to point number two, shouldn't we?
I was going to say we could probably talk about this for a long time, and the funny thing is a lot of these, we start with that because that will feed into a lot of the other ones, and all these things. It's very rarely clear cut. It's like being a problem solver helps with this next point as well. So there's a bunch of things that kind of overlap, and it's never just one thing. So number two is building identity based habits, which is kind of what we were just talking about. As I said, it's the idea that you need to embody these things. So I'm going to use an example that I was like using. One of my friends' mums says I'm a really good hugger. She said every time I give her a hug, she said you just give the best hugs, Ben. And I was like, oh, thanks, Priscilla. It's my friend Johnny's mum. Shout out to Johnny. I always give her hugs. So every time I see Priscilla, I I want to give her a hug because she's told me I was good at it. So I was like, okay, I want to do the things, and this is natural. This goes across everything. When someone says you're good at something, and you feel like that's a positive trait that you want to be associated with you, likelihood is you're going to engage in that more and more often. So identity based habits, like what do you make of that? Like what's your kind of approach to whenever you're trying to build someone's habits? Like what do you dig into?
Um, so it's actually something I'm just kind of, I guess, thinking about how to incorporate within my coaching a little bit more because I think there's like setting identity based goals of like the person that I want to be does these things, like the
Love
person that
that.
I
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
be. I don't know, like you said, if your goal is to be like, obviously, like for most people listening to this, fitter, healthier, stronger, or like whatever it is, like something that I thought was quite cool in terms of like an identity based habit or goal was like I want to be the kind of person that when I go on holiday to a like for a city break, I'm the kind of person that goes out for a 5K run in the morning. And
cool.
like you might not want to do that, but I thought that was like a really nice kind of identity based goal of like I want to be that person. So how can we make that happen and kind of reverse engineering that process. But I think as well as that like what ties into this really nicely is actually really understanding what your like your biggest values, whether that's these will change depending on like how old you are, where you are in life, but part of it might revolve around work, part of it might revolve around family, part of it might revolve around your own health. And framing these habits from a perspective of your values. So, for example, from a work perspective, some people might be like, oh, I'm not sure I see the correlation if I'm taking time away from work to actually do some training and be like healthier, like how does that fit in? But like you can frame it from perspective of like, okay, but if you're doing this, your energy is going to be better, your mood's going to be better, your productivity is going to be better. Like rather than slogging away at your laptop for 12 hours, like actually if you're getting out for a quick walk part way through that, that's going to make your energy so much better. It's probably actually like you're going to get more done because you're going to be more productive, and actually being healthier is going to allow you to do the stuff that you want to do for longer. And same with it from a family perspective. Like I said, that's like a big thing for me, and like being able to do like play sports with my boys and that sort of thing. That is something that makes me very motivated to go and train because I like. I know that if I don't, then like at some point I'm gonna be kind of falling behind, and that's not something that I want.
Yeah,
So having
you
that
gotta
sort
be
of
the top dog in that house for a long time, Tom. I'll be disappointed in the day that you're like, yeah, one of my boys just like beat me in a race. I'll be like, come on, Tom,
yeah,
you did, you
yeah.
did.
I mean, it's gonna happen at some point, but I wanna offset
You're
that
gonna
for
fight
as
for
long
that.
as
You're gonna keep
possible.
pushing that date further and further into the future
Yeah,
by working hard at it.
yeah.
Love that. Love that. Yeah, I think
Um,
what you're saying there.
yeah,
I
yeah. No,
think
you go, mate.
it's what you're saying there is cool. Is the fact that you know you've got to start thinking about who you're trying to be, and not in the sense of like you are not enough. It's always something that's very. I don't know about you, but this is a little bit of a tangent. I think as a coach, we have so much power. Again, that's power in Northern Irish. We have so much power over people's emotions. So much, we have a significant impact on how people view themselves, how they see themselves. So with that comes like a significant amount of responsibility of how we address people, how we talk to them. And one of the things, and I don't know, tell me if you're the same as this, but I never want someone to feel like they're not good enough as they are right now. It's never that for me.
Oh,
It's
no,
not a
absolutely
case of
not.
like you're not good enough. It's a case of you could have so much more enjoyment out of life. And you were saying this earlier perfectly. Being healthy and fit is a force multiplier to everything in your life. Everything. Like there's not a single illness that is made worse. Again, I'm saying this. There might be one out there, but if there, you get my point. There's no illness or anything like that is made worse by you being fitter and stronger. Like my cystic fibrosis is. People ask me, well, how does training help you with your cystic fibrosis? I'm like, well, I don't know what it's like to not train without it. So if you want to take it off me for a year, and I'll not train for that year, and then it's an impossible answer for me or question for me to answer. But the honest truth is that being fit and strong is going to help you in more ways than you can probably even fathom. I mean, I'm talking from my own experience here. Like the amount of cool experiences, conversations, people I've met, just things that have filled my life up to make it feel more full have come from the fact that I am in the position I'm in physically, because then that affects me mentally. Growing up feeling not particularly confident with my body or anything like that, and I'm sure everyone can relate to that. The confidence it gives me to step into situations where I'm a little bit more like apprehensive. I'm like, yeah, whatever. We'll see how this goes. So being physically ready and physically fit is such a big thing, which is why I think, as I said, we need to be careful with how we talk to people in that way of like, you're great with how you are right now, but we could make things even cooler for you, even more enjoyable. So one of the things that is so important when it comes to these identity based habits is that you do tie it to something that they actually value. Like being a good hugger, to me, that's a really nice thing to be told. Another simple one is like someone who smells good. If someone says, "Oh, you always smell really good," the chances are you're going to probably make a little bit more effort to smell nice, to get that aftershave, to all these identity based habits. You've just basically got to find the one that you're like, I want to be associated with that. Are you someone who wants to be organized? Are you someone who wants to get up before they do a podcast and go for a run? Clearly, Tom is. I would. I mean, look, cool. Maybe for me.
Yeah.
Again, as you said earlier, your priorities and your goals will change constantly. So right now, that's what that kind of actually does. It does intrigue me a little bit, but not enough yet. If you know what I mean. Like, and that's the thing. Everyone's going to be different, but there's a great thing. It's in, I think it's in Atomic Habits, where they're talking about two people who smoke. Now, these two people who have quit smoking on the same day, and then they're standing outside just getting fresh air, not doing their smoke break. Someone comes up and offers them, "Hey, do you want a cigarette?" One person says, "No, I'm trying to quit." And the other person says, "I don't smoke." There's such a difference between those two phrases. So someone who, oh, I'm someone who trains versus, oh, I'm trying to get fit. Even just how you word things, and this is why I said this at the top, like how you word things to yourself and how you're talked to is so important and has such an impact on it. Like Tom and I met through D&D. We play Magic and roll dice, and Tom's really good at most things in that as well. But there's magic, and I truly believe that words have so much power to them. Like how you speak to yourself being one, how you're spoken to is another thing, and that's something you can control. Your identity is something that is going to it's going to drive you in the directions you want to go in. Whereas, and then those behaviors that you make fill in those gaps of who you want to be. And again, I could talk about this all day. Like this is something I have yeah, this is a close thing to my heart. When it comes to this stuff, because you have to challenge it. You have to challenge your own beliefs and who you think you are, and then you have to try and reconstruct it. And that's really,
Yeah,
really,
it's really hard.
really hard. Yeah, really hard. So I think, if anything, if you're trying to do these things, if you are trying your best and you're not successful, see that as a lesson. As we said in the last one, it was like, don't see it as a failure. I truly believe that is either you either win or you learn. And if you can approach that, if you can approach everything with that mindset, then you will be successful. And again, that's something you can take on and make as part of your identity. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we could talk about this all the live long day. So we go on to point number three, unless
I
you've got
was, I
anything
was
else
just,
to
oh
add.
yeah,
Or
I was just gonna add one more thing there. I think it's
Mhm.
like for people listening, actually like going about kind of implementing this and doing this. I think one of the easiest ways to kind of get started with like identity-based habits and goal setting is just think of someone who is doing this, like it is the person that you want to be for, like, and it might be a different person for different traits. It might be like you can think of someone who is like fit and strong and healthy, and like you look at them and you're like, okay, so what habits do they have, what traits do they have, what actions do they take on a daily basis, and you kind of reverse engineer from there. And it could be, it's like it could be something family related, it could be any area of your life that you're trying to improve, and just looking at someone who is where I like want to get to, and then looking at what they do is quite a nice way to actually start that process. And I think it was on one of the high performance podcasts that someone was talking about how they did something similar for kids. So they had like something like a really hard problem for these kids to solve, and some of them were given no input, and some of them were. I think they dressed up as superheroes, and they were asked as they were going along, like, what would this superhero do in this situation? Like, how would they solve this problem, or like, what are they feeling? What are they thinking? And actually, just framing it from that way, they kind of embodied that superhero and their problem solving abilities, and those children stuck with that problem and got far further than the people that didn't have that. And I just thought that was like it's
That's
quite a nice way
awesome.
to kind of end this sort of this point on identity based habits, because it literally like encapsulates it so well.
Basically, I mean, I have been pushing for this for decades, Tom.
Yeah.
Can we seriously bring back capes or cloaks? I would, I would love to wear a cloak. There's not like I dressed up as Superman for Halloween once, and I've also dressed up as Thor a couple times. I just remembered that
Quite a lot.
quite a few times.
Yeah.
I swear there is nothing that makes you feel for some reason having a cape on when you walk and having it billow out the back makes you feel like you could do anything, like
Yeah.
absolutely anything. Yeah, there's a definite power in there, and as you said, that's a perfect way of framing it. Of like, try to act the way you think you should act, and then in that situation. And look, the other thing is, don't beat yourself up if you don't make that decision every single time. That's impossible. Like, perfect is not a thing, which leads us perfectly on to point number three. Oh, these segues are getting clean.
So
These are
good.
yeah,
So good.
we're getting clean. That was a bit of a self compliment, but like we're still relatively new at this. We're kind of fumbling our way. So any victory we will take. But this point number three, I'll let you introduce it because this is one of the ones I. Hello, Ollie. I don't know if you can see him or not, but
I know.
he
Oh,
can
there he is.
he can 100% smell my smell my sushi. So yeah, this next point, I have very strong feelings about this next one. So yeah, go ahead.
Right. Well, I'll intro it then, and I'll let you talk. So point number three is something that's called the iterative mindset, which I think it was initially I heard about this on a Sigma Nutrition podcast years ago, and it just kind of stuck with me because it's I think it's one of the most powerful ways to move away from an all or nothing mindset. And basically, what an iterative mindset is when you're looking at trying to make changes, build new habits, and that sort of thing. If you look at it as a designer would look at a problem, knowing that what you do for the next week is probably not going to be exactly what like is going to not going to be exactly right. And then each as things go wrong or as things break, you then iterate and make a change to the habits and behaviors that you're trying to incorporate. So like rather than looking at it as like an all or nothing, like, oh, I failed again, it's actually looking at that failing and being like, and similar to what you said before, it's like you either win or learn, looking at it as a learning point and being like, okay, cool, this thing didn't work for me, let's try something else. And it's a perfect thing to bring in because for you're going to constantly need to iterate all the time based on your environment, what your day-to-day life looks like, that sort of thing. And you can sort of iterate to the point where you can kind of get things like set up so you know when you're training, you know like what you're doing from a nutrition perspective. You kind of got all your kind of ducks in a row, if you like. But then say you then have to be in the office a few more days a week, or you're then traveling somewhere for as a to drop kids off somewhere and you have less time, or like and anything and everything that comes in, you're then going to take that approach of like, okay, what I was doing before doesn't fit this mold, so I now need to iterate again. And just having that approach over time of like iterating to get the best possible outcome for yourself, based on your current constraints. And I think it's a really, really powerful or powerful way to look at mindset.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. No, I agree. I agree. I love that. That was weird to hear that coming out of your mouth,
Yeah.
but I kind of like it. I'm fine with this. Yeah, the all or nothing mentality to me is I I try and cast it out of anyone I work with. And a lot of people wear it either comes in two forms, either all or nothing mentality or the perfectionist. And people wear that like a badge of honor, whereas I just see it as a warning sign. I just think if someone is this all or nothing or a perfectionist, like, oh no, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. All I hear is I don't do anything, and I use that as an excuse to to validate why I didn't do this thing because it wasn't perfect, so I didn't do it. I'm like, so I've this is a phrase I've used for a long time, which is imperfect action will always beat perfect intentions. Like I would rather fumble and make some progress towards something than have this perfect idea in my head. And in fact, that is the exact mindset that I took with a lot of stuff. But my Warhammer YouTube channel, which I started 2 years ago, I thought, you know what, I have all these ideas in my head of like what I want to look like and blah blah blah. I was like, but then I looked at it from that perspective. I was like, well, I don't have that camera, I don't have that lighting, I don't have that space. I'm not that great at painting, and I listed off all the things that really just made that idea of what I wanted impossible. So I was like, okay, well, so it's impossible. What is possible? Oh, I know I've got this camera. I can use my phone. I can edit on I edit on iMovie. Like there's always a if there's a will, there's a way. You'll be able to find it. But this idea of like the all or nothing mentality is like, oh, well, like I haven't got that one piece of camera equipment to film this segment. I'm not going to do it. And you're like, well, I've got something. It's not as good as this thing I had in my head, but it exists, which immediately makes it better. And I think that's a lot of people, unfortunately, fall away because they get into. So let me paint the picture that most people kind of have themselves, which is you get to a point where you're frustrated, you're fed up, and you're not feeling like you're where you want to be. So then you go, right, I'm going to get healthy and fit. I'm going to start eating better. I'm going to start doing all these things. And you do it for maybe what, 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks. And then, as you said, something in life comes up and goes, well, now you can't go to the gym on that Wednesday because now you go to pick up your kids because your kids are sick in school, or someone's literally anything at all can come in and interrupt that pattern, and then suddenly you go, well, I didn't get that workout done, so that day is a failure, which is immediately the wrong thing to think. It's no, it's not a case of it's a failure. It's, well, I couldn't get it done there, so when can I get it done? And also another thing to kind of point out is you have to make up for anything. The amount of people
Yeah.
say, "Oh, I've got to make up for the fact that I lost 2 weeks of training." No, you don't need to make up for anything. If you missed, for example, you and I missed some time at training because we were sick. No part of me is going, "Oh, I got to make up for that time that I missed out." I don't think that. That's not a great way of thinking. You didn't lose out time. Sorry, yeah,
Oh no, I was gonna say I was literally like as you were talking, I was literally just thinking about this. Like so many people, like if you miss a session or miss two sessions, like right, I need to catch that up before I go onto the
yeah,
next one. So like
yeah.
some people end up trying to cram like 3 sessions worth of training into 2 days, knowing that the following week they're going to do what they would like
Normally
their
do.
normal routine anyway. It's like that is madness. All you're gonna do is like if you do it, you're gonna just have a load of fatigue and feel really sore going into the next week. So you're going to actually have a negative impact by trying to do catch up and do more now than if you'd actually been like, okay, cool. Like what can I do? What's realistic and what will set me up nicely to kind of carry on next time.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, done, done is better than perfect. That's a simple way of phrasing it. But like just getting it done, it may not be as nice as you wanted it to be or had in your mind's eye. But hey, this is a good experiment, by the way. I don't know if you're the same as me, but designing that logo, I had in my head a very clear image of what I wanted to do. But getting it from here to like my fingertips, there's a bit of a miscommunication here. And what I'm saying is, you know, we think all these things and we have so much time to ruminate and create these perfect little, scenarios in our head. And then reality comes along and goes, well, you can't draw for shit. So that's not going to happen. That logo is not going to happen, or you won't be able to find that font. So my point is that you will always have this idea of perfect in your head, but you have to embrace the fact that that's probably, in all likelihood, 99.999 recurring, not going to happen. Just doing it is better than nothing. And a phrase that Josh as well is a phrase that he uses quite a lot is like 1% is better than zero. And I always go that further down the line of like if someone came to you and said, "Here, here's £10 or nothing," you're gonna take the £10 every single time. Like every single time, you're not gonna be, "Nah, I'm good. I'm good. I'd rather have absolutely nothing, thanks."
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, getting rid of the mindset, the all or nothing mindset, is key to being successful. You need to get rid of that. If it's something you hold on to, please do your best to lose it because it is not going to be beneficial at all.
Yeah, just a nice visual for this because like obviously like it's very hard when you're in it because you get kind of emotionally tied to feeling like you failed. But just next time you're kind of feeling that way, just consider like obviously like guys tend to stand up when they go for a wee. Like imagine you splash a little bit and then you're like, ah, I splashed now, so I might as well just like spray it
Three sticks to it.
all around everywhere because
Wait, you don't do
I've
that?
messed it up. Well, sometimes, but.
Depends on how many drinks you've had, how dark it is, and how sleepy you are. But yeah, no, that's a great. I love that. It's like the tire analogy as well. Like you lose one tire, you don't go and slash the other three.
Yeah,
Again, all these beautiful analogies, but they make like they're there for a reason. Like
yeah,
I always say it's like it's black and white vision. Like nothing in the world is not nothing, but very, very, very few things are black and white. Like think about even just people ask you questions as a coach. The answer to most things is well, it depends. That's how you have to. Most of the time, it's like I wish I could just be like it's this. It is now.
yeah,
There are some occasions where you get to do that, but there's, oftentimes, as I said earlier, there's so many impacting things going on that are all laid over the top of each other like a big mess of wires. It's very hard to just pick out one thing and be like, that's the reason why this isn't working. It's a combination of a lot of things, which is why we cannot have this black and white vision. We need to have that gray area, sorry. And to be honest, like as I said, most people who are in any way successful, they live in that gray area. The fact that you and I are both wearing grey, I think you're wearing grey, are you? Yeah, there's grey, isn't it?
it's a bit grey. It's more, I'd say it's more
It's blue.
black.
Blue? It's black? Oh, it's blue. Yeah,
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 kind
you
of
guessed
like
it off right at the bottom there.
light black. Is that a thing?
Is that not grey? It's a
Actually,
light black.
this bit's grey, but I'd say this is
That
light
sounds like
black.
that sounds like any woman describing a colour to a man. It's like, what colour is that? It's black. Well, it's more of a light grey, actually.
It's light black.
Light black. Love that. Any, anyway,
Right. Point number four.
Number four, as we're doing right now, we're making it fun. We're making it enjoyable. That is such an important aspect of this. What does like, where does fun come into this for you, Tom? Like when you're working with clients?
Uh, it's yeah, I think trying to foster some like enjoyment through this through the like the process of training and eating well, etc. is so important, and making it as like we've just said as fun as possible is the easiest way to actually make something consistent for the lot for the long term. And like what one thing that like what one example I've got here is like when I was like my fittest from a running perspective and like ran my fastest 5K, um, I wasn't following anything structured. All I was doing was like I was running like with some mates and we were having like it was enjoyable. And as a result of that, yeah, there's some of the sessions that we did were hard, but it was like it wasn't hard because I was doing it with people and it
Shared.
was like it was enjoyable to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think there's yeah there's so much to be said for like and from my perspective as well, I think there's so much to explore when it comes to training in terms of variety. Like obviously we've spoken about sort of having the consistency and kind of hitting your main movements and that sort of thing, but there's
Yeah.
so much variation and so many different areas that you can explore. I think you definitely need to lean into that, and that you might have some periods where you go through like you are a bit more structured with things as we've spoken about, and then there might be other periods like that I think sometimes that sort of mentally gets a little bit harder, and actually like being okay with taking a bit of a break from that thing and going and exploring something else is a really positive thing. And so it's something that I do, and sort of like quite a lot of my clients do as well, is almost have like a bit more of a seasonal approach, because like some things are going to be more enjoyable at different times of the year. Like in
Yeah.
the summer, being outside, like maybe doing more calisthenics, maybe doing more running, maybe doing more cycling is going to be more enjoyable because gyms that like get really hot and stuffy and whatever else. But it's nice just spending that time outside. Whereas in the winter, it's more enjoyable to be in a gym where it's not like cold and dark and wet, and like probably like leaning into that and doing a bit more lifting and like focusing on maybe a bit more kind of hypertrophy and strength training and that sort of thing. I think is also a really positive thing. Like how do you kind of create kind of enjoyment and fun with like for yourself and with clients with training?
I think it comes from making sure we are not identifying as a certain type of person when we go into the gym. Like most people, vast majority of people follow bodybuilding splits or some form of bodybuilding program because that makes sense. But I don't work with any bodybuilders. I don't work with any professional athletes. I don't work with anyone who really needs to take that super seriously. Like as you said earlier, having structure, I think structure and routine helps with motivation. I think motivation can be created through that, and I think motivation is something you do create yourself. But I have always maintained that, in fact, perfect example, I will get the odd message from people with children with cystic fibrosis asking me what's the best exercise I can get my kid into with cystic fibrosis to help them, be healthy. And I was like, what do they enjoy? Literally, that's it. It's like if they enjoy ballet, if they enjoy gymnastics, if they enjoy whatever, it doesn't matter because if you enjoy something, you don't view it as, which is unfortunate that people see exercise as a chore, which it can feel like for sure. It can feel like a chore sometimes. In fact, having those 2 weeks off, not training, I was like, I can see why people I can see why people are like, nah, I'm all right with the gym because you do get more of your time back, but then it's the quality of the time and blah blah blah. You've got to consider that. But if you are doing something you enjoy, you're probably not going to see it as a chore. The best program that you can do is the one that you can actually show up for and be there for. And I'll frequently say this to clients who are maybe going through a little bit of a lull in their motivation. I'm like, all right, what exercise is like if I wrote this on a program, what exercise would be the thing that would get you to show up for that session? Is it bicep curls? Is it like lateral raises? Is it like it could be the most inefficient or unoptimized workout? What it doesn't matter to me. It does not matter. You showing up is what matters to me because going back to what we said earlier, that all or nothing mindset. You could be 100% for like 6 weeks in a row, or you could be 70% for the rest of your life. I want that 70% adherence. I want that. And you're always going to have to find ways of making training enjoyable for you. And yes, there is a certain element of enjoyment that comes from a significant challenge. Like I'm thinking of, we were talking about this earlier, and I was like, some of my most memorable sessions are the ones that we did at the D&D weekend, where I projectile vomited watermelon all over Chichester. You know, don't eat watermelon super close to your workout, by the way, just so you know. And it was a grueling workout, but there was an element of fun from that because it was so challenging. But there's also fun that can be had without that simple challenge. Of like, hey, if you want to go in and train. So, for example, I used to always trick myself, and I always say this: you're essentially playing chess against yourself when it comes to this. You know all your moves. You know what you're gonna be susceptible to fall for. To be tricked by all that stuff. So I used to trick myself to train legs because after a while of bodybuilding and being told that my legs were too big for the rest of my body, I was like, well, my motivation for training legs isn't exactly huge right now, but I still want to train them. I would go, well, okay, well, I don't really want to do a full leg session, but I could go down and chuck some weight on the leg press because I like doing the leg press. It's simple. It gets what I want to get done. So I knew that if I went down and was like, I'll just do leg press and I'll do some arms or something, I knew every single time that as soon as I started doing those leg presses, I'd be like, whatever, I'll do the rest of my leg session. Like, you have to lead with something fun. If you told me, oh, you're going to go straight to that leg session, you're going to do like back squats,
Yeah,
I'm going to skip that session more times
yeah,
than I should.
not going to happen.
Now, whereas I go, okay, well, if
Yeah,
I put something there at the front that maybe not the most optimal thing, it doesn't matter because it's fun to me. And if you enjoy something, your adherence is going to just. And adherence
yeah,
is the most consistency, adherence, whatever word you want to use, is the most important aspect of this. Like as a base level, you need to have that. But I think you ever seen that? What is it? The pyramid, the training pyramids. Who is it? Eric Helms.
yeah.
I
Yeah, I
think
think it's
that
Eric
should be
Helms.
wrapped up. I think that at the bottom of that there should be like, or just enveloping it, it should be enjoyment because we're not athletes. Like we're not
Yeah,
professional. I'm not
yeah,
getting paid to go and train. I'm not getting paid to do any of this stuff. We don't need to take it as seriously as people think. Like, so I think having fun and injecting fun into things is vitally important, especially if you're just a regular person like us.
oh, definitely. I think from a practical perspective, if someone came to me and said they weren't enjoying training, the first thing that I would look at is like, are we actually making progress towards the goal that you're trying to make? Because like you
Yeah,
said earlier, inherently, if you're progressing, that's going to be quite motivating. And if that's not happening, that genuinely be the first thing that I would look at from like if someone came to me and if it was a case that they were progressing but they're just getting a bit bored of doing the same stuff, that's when I then start to look at, okay, should we maybe incorporate a little bit of skill work, or should we put a little bit of emphasis onto a particular like muscle group or movement and try and bring that up, or shall we sort of look at expanding, like I said, into a different modality, whether that's some endurance stuff or
yeah, yeah,
some bodyweight stuff, or that sort of thing, and that would generally be the approach that I would take when if someone came to me, and then like you say about that kind of like short-term motivation of like, okay, I'm finding this session really tough, then looking at, okay, how can we make that session more enjoyable to get into, whether that's starting with your favorite exercise or just starting with a less mentally tough exercise than maybe a back squat or a split squat or something like that.
yeah, yeah.
Um, what have you got any other kind of practical things, like if someone came to you and was like, I'm not enjoying training, like where would you start with it?
I would ask them what they're trying to get out of it first and foremost. That's like, what are your goals? And then I would make sure that their training intensity, training, frequency matches that to the level that they actually care. Because some people might say like, "Oh, I want to get lean," but you could have two different people, and one of them is like, I really want to get lean. Like this is like what is going to make me happy. And there's someone who's like, yeah, out of the options that I've been given, yeah, I'd like to lose a little bit of body fat. And I think making sure as a coach that you're giving that person what they need for what their goals are is important. So a lot of the times I'll ask my clients, like I'll scroll through the workouts and be like, what are you enjoying here? Is there any aspect of this that you're like, ugh, I don't want to do that, or I go into the detail of I don't know what happened there, just like glitched or something there. I go into the details of like this is an optimal movement, but we know like a gym is like at peak times. That might be the most optimal movement, but they can't get near it because there's a bunch of people using it. I always say the curly haired broccoli boys who wear like
For the
broccoli
broccoli heads.
broccoli heads, yeah. Um, so you got to find out what that person enjoys and give them the tools that is needed. So, let's say, for example, like a pec fly. If the pec fly in their gym is always being used, and be like, okay, well, here are some options you can do. They're going to essentially achieve the exact same thing. So, I think you've got to meet them where they're at in terms of right, what are your goals? How much do you actually value this goal? And I always put them that I'm like, look, you may think you want to get lean, but I'm going to tell you what it's going to take and also what you're going to have to give it to get that lean. And I'm telling you that from my perspective, and this is the great thing about, I think, being as getting very very lean at some point in your life is a really good thing because it's going to teach you whether you actually value being that lean that much or being that strong, because you know that if you're going to go to any depth of any goal, you have to go quite far down that path. Like you need to start really sacrificing things in order to achieve that. So being lean, I mean, there's a myriad of things I can think of that you would probably have to sacrifice if you really truly wanted to get lean. Similarly, on the other side, if you really wanted to get as big as possible or as strong as possible, there's also things you're going to have to sacrifice for that as well. So it's about finding what the individual needs are, then about making sure that it's not this overwhelming task that they actually can enjoy it. So yeah, one of the things I just ask is like, right, what is it you want right now? What is going to get you up and go to the gym? Like, what is the thing that is going to really motivate you? And let's just build something that allows for that. Like at the moment, one
Yeah.
of my clients has been really struggling. He's had a really stressful time. He's beating himself up because he wasn't going to the gym and he wasn't doing X, Y, and Z. And I was like, right, let's strip it all the way back and let's just get you feeling like you've got this sense of momentum again. Because we can always feed things in, we can always add things in. Taking things away is always quite challenging. So I always think, right, start at the base level and then add up, and then again, a big part of that is fun. Like, do you actually enjoy what you're doing here? If you do, awesome. If you don't, let's try and find something that you do enjoy. So yeah, there's a couple of things that definitely help with that. But I think this is the perfect way to end this as well. And I
Absolutely.
touched on this earlier. Making things social. I think
Yeah.
me talking. Despite the fact that I threw up, and honestly, I'll maybe have to try and put the clip up once we get the Instagram page going. Which probably at this point when this is out, we will probably have that. But I'll put up the video of me post that workout where I think it was Dr. Mike came out and had to check on me, and then Erin was like putting my hand over my chest, like I was dying because I felt like I was gonna die. Like I ate that watermelon way too close to the workout. It was sitting in my stomach, and then it came out of my stomach, and I felt so much better. But that environment that we were in, if you made me go through that workout by myself and none of you guys were there, I wouldn't have enjoyed that at all. But because of the environment
I
that we
wouldn't
were
have done
in,
it.
oh, I would never have done that. Like you put that on paper, I'd be like, well, I was supposed to be get this done by the end of the years as a chipper workout, as an
Yeah.
annual chipper workout. It was brutal, like absolutely brutal. But yeah, like and as you mentioned earlier as well, going for runs with your friends when you've got that accountability and let's face it, a level of competitiveness that happens when you are exercising with a group of people. Like if someone's running beside you and they're starting to catch up with you, or they're starting to take over you, in your head, you're like, I got to put it into another gear here. I don't want to be left behind. I want to match that. So I think yeah, having a sociable experience definitely makes this way more fun. What about you?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. It's like making it social and having a community around it is, I think, probably one of the best ways to make this something that you do for the long term.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to make things so much easier, and a really sort of like practical thing that you can go and do like straight away. It's like most of the guys that I coach, they tend to train on their own at home in like garage gyms, that sort of thing. Um, but it's like obviously everyone's busy. You like most of the time you are training on it. Just like once a month, let's say, organize to train with a friend. That's something I did last night with one of my old school friends. We like we get together, we do some training for an hour, and then we go for some food after.
Nice.
And it makes the training so much more enjoyable because obviously like having a bit of chat throughout, there is that element of competitiveness.
Totally. Yeah, yeah,
Obviously, like you've got the account if like actually showing up is something that you struggle with, that like you've got the accountability to show up because you've organized this date to see someone. And then obviously just like going for food after, just like kind of rounds it all off. Yeah, if that would be like one piece of advice I would say I would give to anyone who is like is struggling to get some kind of sort of social element to their training, because like I said, it does make it makes so much difference. And I think like every point that we've touched on in some element ties into, I don't know if you've ever come across the self-determination theory, but it basically lays out, or the theory lays out why people are intrinsically motivated. And then the three pillars that you have there are autonomy, so like feeling like you're in control, so like similar to what we were kind of talking about, start being a problem solver and like kind of owning your journey. Competence, so like feeling like you're competent in what you're doing, and then relatedness. And if you have an element of all of those things in what you're doing, it's going to be far easier to foster intrinsic motivation. um and obviously that from that relatedness piece, that is connection, that is something sociable, that is some kind of community. And I think to a certain extent it's what I try and foster as much as possible with coaching, even sometimes like delivering feedback via a video rather than just like a message on text. I think it helps people, like it helps people feel a bit more kind of connected to that, like to you, to the coach, to the overall goal. I think that sort of things, like we can kind of weave in little elements of that, and it's the main reason that I do a training day every quarter with my online clients. Is like, so they all train on their own for the most part. Actually getting them together in a room, like yeah, there's a coaching element and sort of and like show them something new and like maybe a little bit of skill work or that sort of thing. But like I think that the biggest benefit that we get from that is that it's the same people coming back each time and having a chat with the people who are on the same journey in a similar position. I think and it's so powerful. And I think sort of like making things as social as possible, particularly in the society that we're in, where everyone is disconnected to a certain extent, or a lot more than what they used to be. I think it's one of the best things that you can do from a training perspective, is just like an overall sort of health and well-being perspective as well.
Yep. I mean, I completely agree. The part that I love about my job the most is the social element of it, of talking to my clients. Like the way I coach is very hands on. Like as in, I like speaking to my clients. I set up calls with them. You know, we talk. It's not just a clinical. Yeah, here's your workouts. This is it. Blah blah blah. Off you go. The way I like to structure things, and the way I would like to phrase things, and one of my clients said this to me the other day, is that it feels like you're my friend, but the best type of friend that you could ever ask for, that you're also paying for. But he was like, no, that's what it feels to me. He's like, you feel like coaching with you is like, and this is such a nice thing to hear because it's something I value so much. I'm the type of friend that they need in their life, that everyone needs, that can see what they're capable of doing and is going to push them in an appropriate way to get them to do that thing. I'm not going to force someone to do something. I can see what people are capable of doing because I've been through that process myself, like you have. You know, I've been through. If I can, my goal is if I can give someone 1% of how I feel having done all this, I am going to be so happy. But being told that, yeah, you're like the friend who everyone should have and really deserves in life, which is that person who believes in you, who wants to see you doing the best, who is only going to celebrate with you, also give you a pat in the back when you need it, but a kick in the ass when you deserve it as well. That's such a nice element to it, and you know that comes from the social element of it, which is just chatting to them and asking what they're doing the weekend and if they've got anything cool coming up and all those sides of things. Because at the end of the day, you know, I always, when I'm thinking about stuff, when it comes to like human behavior and all these things, I always think, right, well, as a species, we developed as a community. Like, you know, you go thousands of years back, the situation we're in at the moment is so far detached from where we came from, which is that community, that society, that like you think going all the way back to like hunter gathering, it's not one dude who went out to hunt. It was a group of guys, and we were all going together. Like this is not supposed to be done alone. Like it's not supposed to be. This is supposed to be something we all contribute together and help each other and lift each other up. And I think that the social element of it, the like what you do with your group, it's great. Like I was gonna date this weirdly, but I've got a Christmas quiz tonight with my clients on
Nice.
Zoom. Like things like that make such a difference because yeah, whilst we're all on different paths, we're all kind of parallel to each other, so we can kind of check in on each other and be like, oh, how are you doing? And I've said this a few times this year, last year, dating this again. This is probably the most fun I've had. Fun isn't even the right word. The most, yeah, I'm just going to use that for now. It's the most fun I've had as a coach in a long, long time because of the community that I've been had the pleasure of putting together with the people I work with because they are so supportive of each other. And I say this to people when they're working with me. I'm like, look, this is not a feature of coaching with me, but it is one of the things I have to say because the group of people I work with, they are an extension of what I do as a coach. Because I've worked with a lot of them for years, some of these people, and they can support the people who are new to the program. The amount of times I've seen people, so one of my clients will put up something that they got, in fact, last night, someone was like, I was able to do 3 sets of 8 pull ups last night. And then I clicked on that, responded, and then I checked this morning, and there's like I had to scroll 3 times just because of all the conversations that were going on around that one achievement
That's
that I
wicked.
had. It's so
Yeah.
cool. Like it's one of the best things about it, and I think from a coaching perspective, it's you're probably thinking that you lack discipline. Like that's what a lot of people think. They're like, oh, I need more discipline to get these results. I need more discipline. I'm like, no, you probably just need some like structure and like someone there to give you a pat in the back when you deserve it, and as I said, a kick in the ass when you need it. Because we're so quick to dismiss our hard work. Like I don't know if it's a British thing or just
Yeah,
in
definitely.
general. We're so quick to be like, oh, I lost this weight, but I'm trying to get to this weight, and you're like, yeah, but you've lost this weight. Like that's an insane amount of weight to have
Yeah.
lost. Be happy with that. And it's the arrival fallacy of I will be happy once I get to X. And I'm like, but
Yeah.
and again, I'm very visual in the way I think of things. Like I imagine that climbing Everest, the goal is to climb Everest, right? But
Yeah.
I would say that the view from the top and 15, 50, 100 meters down is probably pretty much the same. And there's probably some incredibly beautiful views halfway up, a quarter of the way up. Like there's all these incredible things along this process, and I think that if you can enjoy the process of this, and if the community and all these things we've talked about help that, the results are going to come if you focus on that process. So I think that's a yeah. The social side of this though is huge. I mean, I have so
Yeah.
much fun whenever we all train together for the D&D weekends that RIP is now done, but you know. Even your workshop as well, the one we went down to in Dublin, Josh and I, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
Despite getting a clamping ticket and a parking ticket, and we,
That was
we can
nothing
talk
to
about
do with
that
the
another one.
workshop.
Though. What's that?
So that was nothing to do with the workshop. That was the
That was the
signs not
after.
being particularly clear.
Yeah. That was fine. That was nothing to do. That was nothing to do with Tom. Don't get me wrong. That was just Dublin in general. That was Dublin in general. But yeah, like the banter you have on those type of things is it's hard to beat. Like it really,
Yeah.
really is hard to beat that social element. And yeah, as we said
Yeah.
earlier, like we're unfortunately not exposed to that enough. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, it's like I was just thinking, it's the reason that we started doing this. Like the two last points that we said, it's like it's a fun way for us to create content, and it's a sociable thing to do,
exactly.
um, which makes it like it means that we're a lot more likely to be a lot more consistent with it for the long term because it's kind of it's ticking those boxes.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
yeah,
not perfect. It's not a hundred. I mean, I'm just thinking here, like all the points that we've talked about are clearly demonstrated by this podcast.
yeah,
Like we're problem solvers. We're working out how to film this, how to edit it. We talk back and forth. We worked out something that was simple, something that was easy enough to do. So we're recording it with this certain software. What else? I mean, identity based habits. Like we are podcasters. We're not trying to make a podcast.
Yeah,
We are podcasters.
yeah.
I'm just going to try that one on for size. All or nothing mindset. Again, there's the amount of times that we'll record these things and go, oh, I should have said this, should have said that. Doesn't matter. It exists. It's now out there. Make it fun. Again, that was where the name came from, the Training and Tangents. We didn't want this to just be the most boring fitness podcast because, let's face it, they can be quite dry. So we have these tangents. And then, yeah, lastly, we're making it social. Like, we've both got this time in our diaries every single week that we're going to catch up and we're going to record this podcast and hopefully help some people. So, practicing what we
Yeah.
preach here, which is
And
always
we should
nice.
probably celebrate our PB. We've just recorded 4 episodes. Woo!
Yes, one more than zero. Love it.
Celebrate every single PB, even if it's
I think
just
we
an
should.
extra half a kilo.
We'll just have a clap for 5 minutes straight. Dude,
Yeah.
I think this is a hopefully this will be a podcast. I think it's going to be a podcast that people will hopefully get a lot from. If you did, please leave a review for us. That means a lot. Share us on your stories. Share this with someone who you think might benefit from it. If you want to find Tom on Instagram and for his coaching, where do you go?
Tom Project Performance on Instagram, and then my website is projectperformance.online for more info.
Perfect, and pretty much the same thing, but just with my name instead of Tom's. And other details. We'll put details in the description below. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that'll
I'm
be
Ben.
somewhere.
That's Tom. Hopefully, you've enjoyed having us in your ears today, and I'm going to go finish the rest of the sushi that is just sitting, tempting me. I'll try my best to not
You've
eat it.
that was very restrained, mate. That would not have lasted if it was in front of
Dude, I
me.
struggled so much. I was just like, because I didn't want to. I didn't want you to think I wasn't listening to you either while I was eating. I was just like, this is the perfect time to eat. But yeah, I was engaged too much to be honest. I forgot it was there. So
Yeah.
yeah, clearly better than sushi, Tom. How does that feel?
Oh, thanks, mate.
You're welcome. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Training and Tangents podcast. Hope you have a fantastic day. Love you. Bye.
Bye bye.